Captain Doyen Kim stood in the training field on Mars, watching his squad run through combat drills. The red dust swirled around them as they moved between cover positions. It was a normal Tuesday afternoon, or as normal as things got on humanity's first military base beyond Earth. Doyen had been doing this for 3 years now. Ever since the war ended, the communicator on his wrist started beeping. Not the usual beep. This was the emergency tone. Doyen pressed the button and heard Commander Hana Yoon's voice. She sounded worried. "Doyen, you need to come to the command center right now. Don't ask questions. Just come." Doyen felt his stomach tighten. Commander Yoon had trained him when he first joined the military. She never sounded scared. He told his squad to continue without him and started running toward the main building. When he arrived at the command center, 2 alien soldiers were waiting. They were tall, at least 7 feet, with blue skin that seemed to glow slightly. Valari. Doyen recognized them from the peace treaty signing he had attended last year. The Valari were telepaths, able to read thoughts if they wanted to. It always made humans nervous around them. "Captain Kim," one of them said. Her voice was strange, like music and words mixed together. "You will come with us. The Tribunal requests your presence immediately." Doyen looked at Commander Yoon. She nodded slowly. "You have to go, Doyen. This is not a request we can refuse." The Tribunal. Doyen knew what that meant. The 12 most powerful females in the galaxy, representing the 3 main alien species that controlled the Federation. If they wanted to see him, it was serious. The journey to Luminara Prime took 6 hours on the Valari ship. Doyen spent most of it trying not to panic. His friend Seojun managed to send him a message through the ship's communication system. "Whatever happens, remember Colony 7. You did the impossible once. You can do it again. Colony 7. Doyen would never forget that place. 3 years ago, during the Frontier Wars, he had been a young lieutenant stationed at a mining colony near the edge of Federation space. Pirates attacked. Not just regular pirates, but organized fleets that wanted to steal the colony's resources. The commanding officers panicked and ran, taking the only military ship with them. Doyen was left with 30 human soldiers, a group of Kryn engineers who maintained the mining equipment, and about 50 Durathi civilians who had been trading at the colony. Everyone expected them to die. The pirates had ships, weapons, and hundreds of fighters. Doyen's group had mining tools and some old rifles. But Doyen did something nobody expected. Instead of trying to fight like soldiers, he asked everyone what they were good at. The Kryn engineers knew how to build force fields for mining operations. The Durathi civilians knew how to survive in harsh conditions and fight with basic weapons. The humans knew tactics and teamwork. Doyen brought them all together. For 3 days they held the colony. The Kryn built defenses. The Durathi fought on the front lines. The humans coordinated everything and kept morale high. When Federation reinforcements finally arrived, they found the pirate fleet destroyed and the colony still standing. Nobody could believe it. That victory made Doyen famous. But he never wanted fame. He just wanted to keep people safe. The ship docked at Luminara Prime and Doyen saw the station for the first time. It was massive, bigger than any city on Earth. Lights sparkled across its surface like stars. Ships from hundreds of different species came and went constantly. This was the heart of the Federation, where decisions affecting trillions of beings were made every day. The Valari guards led him through corridors that seemed to go on forever. Finally, they reached a huge circular room, 12 seats arranged in a half circle, elevated high above the floor. In each seat sat an alien female, watching him with eyes that seemed to see everything. At the center sat Supreme Arbiter Ixtara. She was ancient even by Valari standards. Her skin was almost white instead of blue, and her eyes glowed with power. When she spoke, Doyen felt the words inside his head as much as heard them. "Captain Kim, do not be afraid. We have not brought you here to punish you." Doyen tried to stand straight and confident. "Then why am I here, Supreme Arbiter?" Another Tribunal member spoke. She was Durathi, with dark red skin and muscles that showed even through her formal robes. "We have been watching you, human, for many months. We know about Colony 7. We know about your training methods. We know that other species trust you." A third voice, this one mechanical and precise. "Kryn. The Federation has a problem, Captain Kim. We created a program 23 months ago. The Genesis program. Young adults from different species training together, learning to work as one unit. The goal was integration and cooperation, Ixtara continued. The program is failing. We have sent 5 human instructors. All 5 were removed for incompetence. The trainees refuse to cooperate. They fight among themselves. They fail every exercise. The other species blame humanity for the failures. Doyen felt cold. He was starting to understand where this was going. If the Genesis program fails completely, the Durathi Arbiter said, humanity will be declared incompatible with Federation integration. Your species will lose its membership. Earth will be alone again. We want you to lead the program, Ixtara said simply. You will be the tactical instructor and integration specialist. You will make these young adults work together. You will prove that different species can unite. Doyen's mind raced. This was impossible. He was just a soldier. He trained fighters, not diplomats. Supreme Arbiter, I'm honored, but I don't think I'm qualified for this. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a politician. You are exactly what we need, Ixtara said. At Colony 7, you did not command. You listened. You found what each group did well and helped them do it. You built trust when everyone expected failure. That is what the Genesis program needs. The Kryn Arbiter spoke again. You have 48 hours to decide. Consider carefully. The future of your species depends on your answer. They dismissed him. Doyen was taken to guest quarters in the station. He sat on the bed, head in his hands. How could he say no? If he refused, humanity would be kicked out of the Federation. Earth would lose all the technology, protection, and partnerships they had gained. But if he said yes and failed, the result would be the same. He called Commander Yoon. She listened to everything, then was quiet for a long moment. Doyen, you saved my life at Colony 7. I was one of those Durathi civilians. I never told you because I wanted you to see me as your commander, not someone you rescued. But I remember what you did. You gave us hope when we had none. Those trainees need the same thing. Seojin's message came next. Do it, I'll help you however I can. Plus, I've always wanted to see what happens when you prove the galaxy wrong. Doyen made his decision. The next morning, he stood before the Tribunal again. I accept. But I have conditions. I need complete authority over the program. No interference from anyone. And if trainees fail, it's because they failed, not because they're human. Ixtara smiled, something Valari rarely did. Agreed. You leave for the Genesis Academy immediately. Captain Kim, do not disappoint us. Too much depends on your success. As Doyen walked toward the transport ship, his communicator buzzed with an encrypted message. He opened it carefully. The message was simple but chilling. They're lying to you. The previous instructors didn't fail. They were sabotaged. Someone on the Tribunal wants you to fail too. Be careful who you trust. A friend. Doyen deleted the message and kept walking. He didn't know who sent it or if it was true. But one thing was certain. This was going to be much harder than Colony 7. And this time, failure meant more than just his life. It meant the end of humanity's place among the stars. The Genesis Academy looked beautiful from outside. The space station orbited a peaceful moon, with training facilities that gleamed like jewels in the starlight. Inside was a different story. Doyen walked through the corridors and saw exactly what failure looked like. Trainees moved in separate groups. Humans stayed with humans. Durathi walked with other Durathi. Kryn kept to themselves. The Valari floated in their own small cluster. Nobody made eye contact with anyone from a different species. The training rooms were half empty. Equipment lay unused. This wasn't a school. It was a prison where nobody wanted to be. Director Kwon met him at the main office. She was Valari, middle-aged by their standards, and she looked exhausted. Her glow was dim, which meant she was either sick or deeply unhappy. Captain Kim. Welcome to the Genesis Academy, or as we call it now, the place where dreams come to die. Her voice was bitter. I've run this program for 2 years. I've watched 5 instructors try and fail. I don't know what the Tribunal thinks you can do differently, but I hope you're ready for disappointment. Doyen looked at the duty roster she handed him. 47 trainees, ages 18 to 23. 12 humans, 15 Durathi, 12 Kryn, 8 Valari. All of them had failed the integration standards multiple times. Most had requested transfers out of the program and been denied. Show me the training room, Doyen said. I want to meet them. The main training hall was huge, easily big enough for 100 people. The 47 trainees sat in their species groups as far apart as possible. When Doyen walked in, a few looked up. Most ignored him. They had seen new instructors before. Doyen stood in the center of the room and waited. After a few minutes, a young Durathi female stood up. She was tall and muscular, with the confident walk of a warrior, another human instructor. Let me guess. You're going to tell us we need to work together. You're going to make us do trust exercises. You're going to fail just like the others and we'll still be stuck here. What's your name? Doyen asked calmly. Crix, not that it matters. You're right, Crix, Doyen said. Everyone looked surprised. This program has failed. The training is wrong. The methods are wrong. Everything about this place is designed to make you compete instead of cooperate. So we're going to change it. A human girl spoke up. She had short black hair and grease stains on her hands. Change it how? We've been here for months. Some of us for over a year. Nothing changes. Tell me your name, Doyen said. Jiwoo. Jiwoo An. I'm an engineer, or I was before they sent me here. Doyen nodded. Jiwoo, I'm going to show everyone something. Then you all get to decide if we continue or if I leave tomorrow. He activated the holographic projector in the center of the room. This is Colony 7 3 years ago. I want you all to run a simulation. Your mission is simple. Defend this colony for 3 days against overwhelming enemy forces. I'm uploading my mission logs now, but I'm not telling you what I did. Figure it out yourselves. The trainees looked at each other. A Kryn female with silver skin and intelligent eyes stood up. This is a waste of time. Colony 7 is famous. Everyone knows how it ended. The humans got lucky. Then prove it, Doyen said. Show me it was just luck. You have 2 hours. He walked out of the room, leaving them confused. From the observation deck, Doyen watched them work. Just as he expected, they divided by species. The Durathi planned a direct military assault, brave but doomed against superior numbers. The Kryn designed defensive systems, smart but not enough firepower. The Valari tried diplomatic solutions. Noble, but the pirates in the simulation didn't care about diplomacy. The humans tried to combine approaches but lacked the expertise. Every single group failed. The colony fell within hours in every simulation. Doyen let them try 5 times, 5 failures. By the end, they were frustrated and angry. Doyen walked back into the room. Want to see what actually happened? He played the real recording. The trainees watched in silence as Durathi civilians held the front lines with basic weapons. Kryn engineers built force fields that the pirates couldn't break. Human soldiers coordinated everything and kept morale high. Valari telepaths, if there had been any, would have provided communication. But at Colony 7 there were none, so humans used old-fashioned radios. The recording showed 3 days of desperate fighting. It showed species that barely knew each other learning to trust. It showed humans teaching Durathi about teamwork. Durathi teaching humans about courage. Kryn teaching everyone about technology. By the 3rd day, they weren't separate groups anymore. They were one unit. When the recording ended, the training hall was quiet. Finally, Jiwoo spoke. You did it because everyone contributed something different. The Durathi were better fighters. The Kryn were better engineers. The humans were better at bringing everyone together. Exactly, Doyen said. Every species here has strengths, but you've been taught to compete, not cooperate. The previous instructors tried to make you all the same. I'm going to help you be different together. A quiet voice spoke from the back, a young human male with gentle eyes. My name is Minseo. I'm training to be a medic. How do we start? Over the next 3 weeks, Doyen rebuilt the program from scratch. He paired Jiwoo with Nelvora, the Kryn female, for engineering challenges. At first, they barely spoke. By the end of week 1, they were finishing each other's sentences. Jiwoo had human creativity and intuition. Nelvora had Kryn processing power and knowledge. Together, they solved problems neither could solve alone. He made Crix lead a combat squad with Minseo as her second in command. Crix was all aggression and strength. Minseo was all empathy and healing. They hated each other for the first 2 days. Then, during a training accident, Minseo saved a Durathi trainee's life with quick medical work. Crix saw that strength came in different forms. The Valari trainees were hardest to reach. They kept to themselves, using telepathy to communicate without words. Doyen assigned them to teach non-telepaths how to work without instant communication. It forced them to interact, to explain, to be patient. Slowly, walls started coming down. Progress was real. Doyen could see it in how trainees sat during meals. Humans and Durathi at the same table. Kryn and Valari working on projects together. Laughter in the hallways. It wasn't perfect, but it was better. Then the sabotage happened. During a zero-gravity combat drill, the life support in Training Module 7 failed. Complete system shutdown. 3 trainees were inside, including Jiwoo. They had maybe 3 minutes of air left in their suits. Doyun ran for the emergency controls, but they were locked out. Someone had overridden the safety systems. Nelvora was already at a computer terminal, her hands moving faster than human eyes could follow. Crix was suiting up to go in manually. Minseo was preparing medical equipment for when they got the trainees out. Working together, they broke through the lockout. Nelvora cracked the security. Crix forced open the manual override. Minseo guided them via communicator. They got the trainees out with 30 seconds of air remaining. All 3 survived, but the damage was done. Director Kwon called an emergency meeting. The investigation showed human error in the maintenance logs. Accusations flew. The other species started separating again. All the progress was crumbling. That night, Doyun called Seojin on a secure channel. His friend was still on Mars, but he was a genius with computers. "I need you to investigate something. This wasn't an accident. Someone tried to kill those trainees." Seojin worked through the night. What he found was disturbing. The maintenance logs had been altered, but the alteration came from outside the station. Someone with high-level access had hacked the system remotely. The trail led to a secure network that only Tribunal members could access. Before Doyun could act on this information, alarms sounded throughout the station. A ship was approaching. A very important ship. Supreme Arbiter Ixtara had arrived for an inspection. She gathered everyone in the main hall. Her face was serious. "I have received reports of the incident. The Tribunal is concerned. Some members believe this program should be terminated immediately before anyone dies. I have come to make a final evaluation." Ixtara looked directly at Doyun. "You have 1 month, Captain Kim. 1 month to prove this program can work. At the end of that month, the full Tribunal will come here to observe a final test. If you fail, the Genesis program ends, and humanity's place in the Federation ends with it." After she left, Doyun stood alone in the empty hall. 1 month. He had 1 month to save everything, and someone on the Tribunal was actively trying to stop him. The warning message had been right. This was bigger than just a training program. This was a fight for humanity's future, and the enemy was hidden among the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Doyun stood in front of the 47 trainees. Behind him, a holographic display showed a moon called Meridian 4. It looked hostile, with red storms covering half the surface and mountains that reached into a toxic atmosphere. "This is Operation Crucible," Doyun announced. "You have 3 weeks to prepare. Then you will deploy to this moon. Your mission is to establish a forward base, complete 3 objectives, and extract within 72 hours. Mixed species squads only. No outside help. No safety nets. Real conditions." The room exploded with noise. Director Kwon stood up immediately. "This is insane. We can't send trainees to a hostile environment with no support. It violates every safety protocol in the Federation. The Tribunal gave me full authority," Doyun said calmly. "I'm using it." Crix was on her feet. "Finally. A real challenge instead of these fake exercises." "I'm in," Jiwoo raised her hand. "What are the objectives?" 1. Build a functioning base camp that can support all 47 trainees. 2. Map the Northern Territory and identify resources. 3. Solve a technical problem I'll give you on site. You succeed together or fail together. Nelvora, the Kryn engineer, stood up. "The logistics are complex. We'll need supply calculations, equipment lists, and team assignments. When do we start planning?" "Right now," Doyun said. "You have 3 weeks. Make them count." The next 3 weeks transformed the academy. Trainees worked 18-hour days. Jiwoo and Nelvora designed equipment modifications. Crix trained combat squads with Minseo handling medical protocols. The Valari trainees practiced non-telepathic communication. A young human girl named Hyeji emerged as a tactical genius, creating backup plans for every scenario. Doyun watched them grow closer. They ate together now, studied together, argued and laughed together. This was what he had hoped for. But the clock was ticking. The Tribunal would arrive in 1 month to judge them. Operation Crucible would determine everything. Launch day arrived. 3 transport ships carried the trainees to Meridian 4. Doyun remained in orbit with a small observation team, monitoring but not interfering. The Tribunal had sent observers too, watching from their own ship. Supreme Arbiter Ixtara was among them. The first squad deployed smoothly. Then everything went wrong for Squad Alpha. Their transport suffered engine damage during atmospheric entry. Jiwoo was piloting. Nelvora was calculating emergency trajectories. Crix was securing loose equipment as the ship shook violently. "We're going down hard," Jiwoo shouted. "Everyone brace." The ship crashed in a valley 20 kilometers from the planned landing zone. Doyen's heart stopped as he watched the monitors. For 30 seconds, there was no signal. Then Jiwoo's voice crackled through. "We're alive. Ship is destroyed. We have supplies but no transport." Squad Beta had their own problems. They landed in territory filled with aggressive predators. Large, six-legged creatures with armor plating. Minseo was leading the squad. His calm voice came through the communication system. "We're surrounded but safe for now. The creatures are testing our perimeter." A young Valari named Silith was with him. Her telepathy let her sense the creatures' intentions. "They're not trying to kill us. They're defending territory. If we can communicate peaceful intent, they might let us pass." Yeji's tactical mind went to work. She was with Squad Beta. "We have motion sensors. We can use them to predict their movement patterns. Minseo can lead negotiations. I'll plan our route." Back at Squad Alpha's crash site, Jiwoo was already turning disaster into opportunity. "This ship has a working power core. Nelvora, if we can extract it and stabilize the output, we can use it for the base camp. It's better than what we planned." Nelvora's eyes lit up. "Brilliant. The crash damaged the containment field, but I can rebuild it. Crix, I need you to cut through the hull with plasma torches." For 6 hours, the three species worked together. Jiwoo's creativity found solutions. Nelvora's knowledge made them work. Crix's strength made them real. They extracted the power core and built a sled to transport it. Meanwhile, Squad Beta was making history. Silith used her telepathy to project peaceful emotions. Minseo approached the creatures slowly, hands open, showing he meant no harm. Hiji kept the squad in formation, ready to defend but not threatening. After 2 tense hours, the creatures backed away. The path was open. All 3 squads reached the base camp location by the end of day 1. They were exhausted but triumphant. Then the weather alerts started coming in. A massive storm was forming, much bigger than predicted. In orbit, Doyen frowned at the data. This wasn't natural. Seojin's voice came through the secure channel. "Doyen, I'm detecting unusual activity in the weather satellites orbiting Meridian 4. Someone is controlling them remotely. Someone is weaponizing the weather." Doyen felt cold. The saboteur had struck again. This time they weren't trying to make the program fail. They were trying to kill everyone. "Can you trace the signal?" "Already on it." "But Doyen, the encryption is military grade, Tribunal level. Someone very powerful is doing this." On the surface, the storm hit like a hammer. Winds over 200 kilometers per hour. Lightning that turned night into day. The temperature dropped 30 degrees in minutes. The trainees scrambled to secure the camp, but the storm was tearing everything apart. Doyen made a choice. He broke every rule. "Seojin, suit up. We're going down there." Finally, Seojin grinned. "I was getting bored." They deployed in a fast shuttle, cutting through the storm. When they landed, Doyen took command. The trainees were scattered. Communication was failing and hypothermia was setting in. But he also saw something beautiful. They hadn't panicked. They hadn't turned on each other. They were still trying to work as a unit. "Listen up." Doyen's voice cut through the wind. "Someone is trying to kill us. They've weaponized the weather satellites. We need to shut them down. Nelvora, Jiwoo, can you hack a satellite system from down here?" Nelvora and Jiwoo looked at each other. "Maybe," Jiwoo said. "If we can boost our signal and if Nelvora can crack their security." "We can do it," Nelvora said firmly. "Together." While they worked, Crix led rescue operations. Several trainees were trapped in a collapsed shelter. She organized mixed species teams. Durathi provided the strength. Humans provided the planning. Kryn provided the tools. They pulled everyone out safely. Minseo and Silith created a communication network using telepathy and radios combined. Silith could sense where people were through their thoughts. Minseo translated that into coordinates for rescue teams. Human empathy and Valari telepathy working as one. Yeji coordinated everything, her tactical genius keeping track of 7 different operations simultaneously. Seojin worked with her, his communications expertise keeping everyone connected. After 3 hours, Jiwoo shouted in triumph. "We're in!" Nelvora cracked the encryption. "Shutting down the weather control now." The storm didn't stop immediately, but it began to weaken. Within an hour, the worst had passed. The trainees gathered in the salvaged base camp, exhausted and injured but alive. All 47 had survived. They had done more than survive. They had completed all 3 objectives. The base was built. The territory was mapped. And the technical problem was solving the sabotage itself, which they had done together. As the sun rose over Meridian 4, Doyen looked at the trainees. They weren't sitting in separate species groups anymore. They were mixed together, sharing blankets and food, treating each other's injuries. Humans and Darathi, Kryn and Valari. Not separate anymore. United in orbit, Supreme Arbiter Ixtara watched the scene. She felt something she hadn't felt in decades. Hope. But her expression darkened as another tribunal member approached. Arbitrix Valken, the Darathi representative. "This changes nothing," Valken said coldly. "Captain Kim violated protocols by deploying to the surface. He endangered everyone. I move for immediate termination of the program and his removal." The other tribunal members murmured. Some agreed. Some disagreed. The vote would be close. But then Hyeji's voice came through the communication system. She was transmitting to all the ships in orbit. "Supreme Arbiter, I need to speak with the tribunal. I have evidence. The storm wasn't natural. Someone tried to kill us. And I can prove who did it." The tribunal chamber on Luminara Prime was designed to intimidate. 12 elevated seats arranged in a semicircle, each occupied by one of the most powerful females in the galaxy. Below them, a circular platform where the accused stood. Holographic displays showed the vastness of the Federation, reminding everyone who entered of the weight of decisions made here. Doyen stood on that platform now. The charges against him were serious. Violation of safety protocols, unauthorized deployment, reckless endangerment of trainees. Arbitrix Falcon presented each charge with cold precision, her dark red skin seeming to glow with anger. Captain Kim acted like a rogue soldier, not an instructor, Falcon declared. He put 47 young lives at risk to prove a point. 3 trainees nearly died in the life support failure. All 47 could have died in the storm. This is not leadership. This is dangerous arrogance. The evidence looked damning. Video records showed Doyen breaking quarantine. Safety reports documented the risks. Medical records showed injuries from Operation Crucible. Several tribunal members nodded in agreement with Valken. Supreme Arbiter Ixtara raised her hand for silence. "Before we vote on these charges, we will hear from the trainees themselves. Specifically, we will hear from Hyeji Nam, who claims to have evidence of sabotage." Hyeji walked onto the platform. She looked small and young next to Doyen, but her voice was steady. "Honored Tribunal, I present evidence that every accident in the Genesis program was not an accident. Someone has been systematically sabotaging our progress. Holographic displays activated showing data streams and code. Seojin had helped her prepare this presentation, working through the night to make it clear and undeniable. The life support failure in Training Module 7, Hyeji continued. The investigation blamed human error in maintenance logs. But look at this. The logs were altered remotely from outside the station. The timestamp shows the alteration happened 2 hours before the failure, not after. Someone changed the logs to create evidence of human incompetence. Several tribunal members leaned forward, interested now. Hyeji moved to the next display. The storm on Meridian 4. Weather patterns were normal until someone activated the weather control satellites. These satellites are protected by military encryption. Only high-level Federation officials have access. I have traced the command codes used. Nelvora stepped forward, joining Hyeji on the platform. I am Kryn. My species specializes in computer systems. I have analyzed the encryption. The command codes are authentic Federation military codes. Not stolen, not forged, authentic. Jiwoo was next. I worked with Nelvora to crack the command origin. The signal came from a secure tribunal network. Only 3 individuals have that level of access. 1 is retired and was off-world during both incidents. 1 was in medical treatment during the storm. The 3rd is in this chamber right now. The chamber erupted. Tribunal members demanded to see the data. Arbitrix Valken stood, her voice cutting through the noise. This is a human trick. They fabricated this evidence to deflect blame. How convenient that they accuse a tribunal member just when facing judgment themselves. Show us the access codes. demanded Arbitrix Lodan, the Kryn representative. She was a scientist, logical and precise. If the evidence is fabricated, it will be obvious. Nelvora projected the codes. Lodan examined them for several long minutes. Finally, she spoke. These codes are authentic. They belong to Darathi military command level. Arbitrix Valken, these are your personal command codes. Valken's face twisted with rage. My codes could have been stolen. This proves nothing. Supreme Arbiter Ixtara rose from her seat. Her ancient eyes focused on Valken. I am Valari. I am a telepath. I will not read your mind without permission, as that would violate sacred law. But I can sense emotional signatures. They cannot be hidden or faked. The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. Ixtara's telepathic senses were legendary. She could not read specific thoughts, but she could sense truth and lies through the emotions that accompanied them. Your emotional signature, Arbitrix Valken, shows rage, fear, and desperation, not the signature of an innocent wrongly accused. The signature of someone caught. Valken stood motionless for a long moment. Then something broke inside her. The carefully controlled tribunal member disappeared, replaced by a warrior who believed she was fighting for survival. Yes, I did it. I sabotaged your precious program. Her voice echoed through the chamber. And I would do it again. Do you not see what is happening? Humanity is contaminating the Federation. They bring chaos. They bring disorder. They bring change to systems that have worked for millennia. She pointed at Doyen. Look at him. A soldier who breaks rules, who ignores protocols, who thinks emotion and instinct are more important than order. If we allow humans to integrate fully, they will spread this chaos throughout the galaxy. Better to cut them out now while we still can. Valken looked around the chamber, her eyes blazing. I am not alone in thinking this. Many of you agree with me, even if you lack the courage to act. The Federation has survived for thousands of years because we maintained order and uniformity. Humans represent the opposite of everything we stand for. To Doyun's shock, 3 other tribunal members nodded. They didn't approve of Valken's methods, but they shared her fears. The Federation was more divided than anyone had realized. Ixtara's voice was sad but firm. Arbitrix Valken, you have confessed to sabotage, attempted murder, and conspiracy to undermine Federation law. You are removed from the tribunal immediately. You will face trial for your crimes. Guards moved forward to escort Valken away. She went without resistance, her head held high. She believed she had done the right thing, even if she had failed. Now we vote on the Genesis program, Ixtara announced. All evidence shows it is succeeding. The trainees have proven they can work together. Captain Kim's methods were unorthodox but effective. Who votes to continue the program? 7 hands rose. 7 votes to continue. The chamber was silent as everyone counted. Then 4 hands rose in opposition. 4 votes to terminate. The 11th tribunal member, who had replaced Valken temporarily, abstained. 7-4. The Genesis program would continue. Humanity would keep its place in the Federation. But the margin was thin, very thin. After the session ended, Ixtara met with Doyen privately in her chambers. The ancient Valari looked tired. You won today, Captain Kim, but understand what you really won. You exposed deep divisions in the Federation. Some members fear change more than they fear stagnation. This fight is not over. What happens now? Doyen asked. Now you prove that integration is not just possible but necessary. The Genesis program will continue, but it will be watched closely. You must succeed not by making humans more like us, but by showing what humans can contribute that we cannot. Doyen nodded. I understand. Ixtara smiled slightly. I chose you for a reason, Captain Kim. Long ago, the Federation faced extinction. We survived because one species refused to conform. They brought chaos and creativity when order had failed. They saved us all, then went extinct defending the galaxy. I see echoes of them in humanity. The same stubbornness, the same refusal to accept the impossible. Before Doyen could respond, alarms sounded throughout the station. Emergency broadcasts filled every screen. The Vrax, an aggressive species that had been raiding Federation borders for decades, had launched a massive attack. 3 colonies were under siege. The main fleet was too far away to respond in time. Ixtara looked at Doyen and he saw the challenge in her eyes. Here's your chance, Captain. The colonies need help immediately. The Federation military cannot reach them in time, but the Genesis Academy is close enough. Your trainees could deploy within hours. They've never operated as a combat unit, Doyen said. We've only been training for integration, not war. Then this will be their final test, Ixtara said. And yours. You have 96 hours before those colonies fall. Show the galaxy what humanity brings to the Federation. Show them that integration is not weakness but strength. Doyen stood and saluted. We'll be ready. As he left to return to the academy, Doyen's mind raced. The Vraks were experienced warriors. The trainees were young and mostly inexperienced in real combat. 3 colonies, thousands of lives depending on 47 kids who had spent most of their time learning to work together. Not fight together, but then he remembered Meridian 4. He remembered how they had survived the storm. How Jiwoo and Nelvora had cracked impossible security. How Crix had led rescue operations. How Minseo and Silith had created a telepathic communication network. How every single trainee had contributed something unique. Maybe they could do this. Maybe this was exactly what they had been training for. Not exercises and simulations, but the real thing. The chance to prove that different species working together could accomplish what none could do alone. Doyun activated his communicator. All Genesis trainees, this is Captain Kim. Return to the academy immediately. We have a mission. A real one. 3 colonies need our help, and we're the only ones who can reach them in time. This is what we've been preparing for. Time to show the galaxy what we can do. The transport ships carrying the Genesis trainees dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the Talon sector. Through the viewports, they could see the 3 colonies under attack. Explosions lit up the darkness like dying stars. Vraks warships surrounded each colony like predators circling wounded prey. Admiral Charlin's face appeared on the communication screen. She was Durathi, a veteran of more battles than most species had years. Her expression was grim. Captain Kim, I was told the Tribunal sent help. I was not told they were sending trainees. We're what you have, Admiral, Doyen replied calmly. Tell us what you need. Charlin studied him for a moment, then nodded. Colony 1 is a supply depot. Military resources, weapons, equipment. The Vraks want it badly. Colony 2 houses 60,000 refugees from previous conflicts. They have minimal defenses. Colony 3 is a Volari cultural center, sacred to their people. All 3 will fall within 72 hours. We need miracles, Captain. Can your trainees provide miracles? Doyen looked at the tactical display. 3 impossible missions. Limited resources. Young, mostly inexperienced fighters. He thought about everything they had learned together. All the training. All the failures. All the successes. Then he smiled. Admiral, have you ever heard of Colony 7? Doyen divided the trainees based on their strengths, but every squad was mixed species. This was the moment everything had been building toward. Jiwoo, take your squad to the supply depot. Your mission is not just to defend it. I need you to turn that depot into a weapon. Jiwoo's eyes widened, then she grinned. I have an idea. Nelvora, you're with me. Crix, I need your combat experience. Let's do something crazy. Minseo, Doyen continued, the refugee colony is yours. Your mission is not to fight. It's to evacuate 12,000 people while under fire. Take Silith, Heji, and the evacuation specialists. Minseo looked nervous but determined. We'll get them out. All of them. I'll take the cultural center with Seojin, Doyun said. It's already surrounded. We can't win by force, so we won't try. We'll win by being smarter. The missions deployed. At the supply depot, Jiwoo immediately saw what others had missed. The depot's power core was massive, designed to run defensive shields and weapons simultaneously. But if they overloaded it in a controlled way, they could create an electromagnetic pulse that would disable every Virax ship in orbit. It's insane, Nelvora said, running calculations. We would have one chance. If we miscalculate by even a fraction, we destroy the depot and ourselves with it. Then we don't miscalculate, Jiwoo replied. You have the knowledge. I have the creativity. Together we can do this. For 6 hours they worked. Jiwoo found solutions that broke conventional thinking. Nelvora made those solutions mathematically sound. Crix and her combat team held the perimeter, buying them time. Human intuition and Kryn precision, working as one. At the refugee colony, Minseo faced a different nightmare. 12,000 civilians, most of them elderly or children. Limited transport capacity. Vrax forces closing in from 3 directions. Panic was spreading faster than he could control it. Silith placed her hand on his shoulder. I can help. My telepathy can project calm. Not mind control, just emotional support. If people feel safe, they will move faster and more efficiently. HFY was already working on evacuation routes. Her tactical mind saw patterns others missed. The Vraks are predictable. They follow efficiency protocols. I can predict their movements and route people around them. But we need someone to buy us time at the rear. A young human named Youngsu stepped forward. He had been quiet during most of the training, never the star pupil. But his eyes were steady. I'll do it. Give me a squad and every explosive we have. We'll make them think twice about following. Minseo wanted to say no. Youngsu was volunteering for what might be a suicide mission, but they had no choice. Make every second count. We'll get everyone out, I promise. The evacuation began. Silith projected waves of calm telepathically. People stopped panicking and started moving in organized groups. Minseo coordinated with the transport ships, his empathy helping him prioritize the most vulnerable. HFY's routing was perfect, guiding refugees through safe corridors. At the rear, Youngsu and his squad fought like demons. They used guerrilla tactics, hitting the Vraks from unexpected angles. Every explosion bought another 3 minutes for the evacuation. Youngsu's voice came through the communicator, calm despite the chaos. Transports are away. Good luck, everyone. It was an honor. Then his signal went dark. At the cultural center, Doyen and Seojin faced a different challenge. The Vraks had surrounded the facility completely. There was no way out and no way to fight through. Traditional tactics would fail, so Doyen did what humans did best. He improvised. The Vraks are a hive mind, Doyen explained to his team. They operate on perfect information sharing. What if we feed them false information? Make them think we've already evacuated? Seojin's fingers flew across his portable computer system. I can hack their communication network. But I need time and I need them distracted. A Valari trainee named Liara volunteered. I can project false telepathic signatures. Make it seem like the building is empty. It won't fool them for long, but it might work long enough. The plan was audacious. Liara projected emptiness while Seojin hacked the Vraks network. He fed them false data showing the center had been evacuated hours ago. The hive mind, operating on efficiency, redirected forces to other targets. By the time they realized the deception, Federation reinforcements had arrived. But the cost was terrible. At the supply depot, Crix was gravely injured when shrapnel from an explosion tore through her armor. She fell, bleeding, her mission incomplete. Nelvora didn't hesitate. Kryn considered manual medical work beneath them. Their species used automated systems. But Nelvora knelt in the dirt and performed emergency field surgery with her own hands, saving Crix's life. Then Jiwoo and Nelvora activated the electromagnetic pulse. The massive wave of energy swept through space, disabling every Vrak ship in the sector. But the power surge nearly killed them both. They survived only because other trainees rushed in and pulled them out before the depot's systems overloaded completely. When the dust settled, all 3 colonies had held. The Vrak's offensive was broken. Admiral Charlin stood on the bridge of her command ship, staring at the battle reports in disbelief. A group of trainees, most barely out of their teens, had accomplished what experienced military units would have called impossible. But the victory was bittersweet. They had lost 6 trainees, including Youngsu. His sacrifice had saved thousands of refugees, but that didn't make his death any easier to accept. The surviving trainees gathered in somber silence, mourning their fallen friends. Back on Luminara Prime, the full tribunal convened. This time there was no debate. The vote was unanimous. The Genesis program would not only continue, it would expand. Within a year, there would be 50 programs across the Federation. The integration model would be applied to military, science, and diplomatic training. Supreme Arbiter Ixtara offered Doyen a promotion to General and Architect of the expansion. He declined. I'm a teacher now, he said simply. Let me continue teaching. Every year bring me new trainees from new species. The Federation needs to keep evolving or it will die. Ixtara smiled. Very well, Captain. Or should I say, Instructor Kim. Continue your work. The galaxy needs what you are building. The surviving trainees graduated with full honors. Jiwoo accepted a position designing next-generation starships, with Nelvora as her permanent partner. The ships they would create would combine human creativity with Kryn technology in ways never imagined before. Crix, recovered from her injuries, returned to her homeworld as an ambassador. She became the first Durathi to openly advocate for cooperation over dominance, teaching her people that strength came in many forms. Minseo established a revolutionary medical exchange program, blending human psychology with Valari telepathy to create new healing methods. Silith worked alongside him, bridging the gap between species in ways no one had thought possible. Hyeji joined Federation Strategic Command, where her tactical genius helped redesign military doctrine to emphasize cooperation over competition. Years passed. The Federation transformed. Mixed species crews became standard. Cultural exchange flourished. The divisions that had nearly torn the galaxy apart began to heal. Integration wasn't just accepted anymore. It was celebrated. 20 years later, Doyon Kim stood at the Genesis Academy, now much larger and more established. He was older now, gray in his hair, lines on his face. A new class of trainees arrived, representing species from across the galaxy. Some had never met before. They were scared, uncertain, skeptical, just like the first class had been. Doyon smiled. This was what humanity brought to the galaxy. Not perfection, not superiority, just the stubborn belief that tomorrow could be better than today if people were willing to work for it. The belief that different didn't mean incompatible. The belief that unity was stronger than uniformity. That evening, he received a message from Earth. It was from his sister's grandson, a boy named Jiho. The message was simple. Uncle Doyon, I want to apply to the Genesis program. My teachers say it's hard and dangerous. My friends say I'm crazy. But you did it. You proved humans belong out here among the stars.